Did you tweet? Where's that tweet?
Mentira fue la tarde tu pasado. Mentira fue la tarde tu pasado.
What's going on, everybody? It's the In the Money DFS podcast. My name's Justin, joined, as always, by my co-host Dan Lamagna at FF Coach Dan on Twitter. What's going on, Dan? Dan, no one can hear you. There you go.
It would help if I'm not on mute. At least, that's the way that the weeks went, Justin. I told you, man. It's been a long work week, but that's all right, man, because I'm still grinding for our listeners here, looking to hit it big this week. I am excited this week, all right? I told you at the beginning when we first started this adventure here, man, in the Money podcast, that my goal was to win a Millie Maker. 10 weeks, I have not won a Millie Maker. Had many, many good weeks, but this week, it is the DraftKings $500 entry Millie Maker. We're only 5,000 people entries total. So I have a 1 in 5,000 chance, Justin. The best odds we'll ever have of winning that Millie Maker, man. So we got to bring it tonight.
Yeah, we definitely do. We got to get you to win this, man. I want you to win a Millie Maker. I'll be happy for you. Or maybe I'll enter it and I'll steal it from you, like I said, which would be funny. But I don't know if I'm going to do that because I don't have that kind of bankroll to enter 150 lineups into one. But I'm hopeful for you. I think this could be the week we do it. Like you said, you got the best chance to do it this week, and I'm ready to drop some bombs and some gems for some people this week for the DraftKings slate. But we have got an exciting Thursday night football game tonight. So I don't say this often, Dan. Like I said, I always want these shootouts, and tonight we have a potential shootout. But before we get into that, subscribe if you guys are new on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. In addition to that, follow Dan on Twitter at FFCoachDan. Follow me on Twitter at Justin_FFB. Follow the podcast Twitter at InTheMoneyDFS_, where you can see all we tweet about. And apparently Dan has a Mini Cooper. I mean, I'm just still mind blown by the fact that you have a Mini Cooper. I don't get this, Dan. I understand it's on brand for you. I'm so confused.
You see, lease prices were like astronomical at the time my lease was up. I wasn't finding those good deals, man. And I found one over at the Mini Cooper BMW lot there. BMW brand, Justin. You got to think rich there. Got a good lease deal. And it's the Countryman version. So it's not like mini. It's actually pretty spacious. There's just not a lot of cabin space. But Amari Cooper, man, anything to support my bro here, who's
is that the name of your car? Is your car name Amari?
Of course it is, man. And at 5,400 in DK this week, the car and Amari Cooper is a good deal.
Oh, I'm not gonna stay on this topic for too long. I just think it's funny, but hey, you got a good deal. I believe you got a good deal. You probably had them tossing some fab money for it as well. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if the dealership did that for you to help it out. But
I always get something thrown in there.
Nonetheless, we got the Seahawks versus the Cardinals tonight. So for our live stream viewers, remember, if you guys are listening to us on the podcast, we go live at 7 o'clock Eastern time on YouTube at In the Money DFS podcast on YouTube. And we go over the single game site for our live stream viewers. So Dan, what do you like in tonight's game? I mean, I'm excited, man. Kyler Murray is MVP candidate, as well as Russell Wilson. But Russell Wilson's kind of fallen off the past 2 weeks, so he's kind of out of the race. Unless he throws for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns tonight, which is certainly possible because this game has a 57.5 over-under, the highest on the entire week's slate by 6 points. So, Dan, who do you like this tonight?
You got me thinking a lot of different things here. I have to start with, how excited you are. I get a kick out of that because, me, I'm excited every Thursday night. Justin is like exclusive only, elite teams only Thursday nights.
Otherwise, Sanders, but she wasn't even healthy. Oh.
You got cheated
So
out of that one there, man.
I did.
So our listeners know, though, unless it's elite teams, I've got to talk Justin into talking about Thursday night on our show. So tonight's easy, man, because I know you're pumped about this one. And hey, who isn't? You got two elite quarterbacks. I'm really on the Kyler train in the last few weeks. I mean, he is looking as good as they could get. I want to keep riding that train in that hot hand tonight and kind of leaning that way. Although you're planting those seeds, man, with Russ Wilson, you're looking to be different from the field. Everybody's going to be, I think the majority will be shifting Kyler in the Cardinals' way. And primetime players play big in primetime games, and that is Russ Wilson. And he's, I want to say, a little bit cheaper than Kyler Murray. Yep. So if you're looking out of that captain spot, Wilson's 17-7, Murray's 19-5. So dare I say Russ Wilson might even be a bargain tonight, and he's at home? Could be something.
Nah,
That's
with
Seattle.
COVID in 2020, I don't think home field advantage is nearly a thing this year, really. But it kind of is, though. But the travel.
At least you don't have to travel.
Yeah. Well, look at that. See,
Who the heck wants to travel? Who wants to travel in this COVID environment, man? So that's got to be,
tickets are cheap, man.
a positive for Seattle. Yeah, you get me thinking now, man. Going the other way instead of riding with the hot hand here.
Well, ride with Murray, but if you put Murray in your captain spot, I think you and every person and their mom in America is putting Kyler Murray in their captain spot tonight, which is why I like Christian Kirk in the captain spot, because D-Hop probably going to get bracketed.
He's got a beautiful matchup tonight, Kirk. So does Hopkins. I think they both could go ham tonight, which would make you think Kyler Murray is good in that captain spot. But it's very hard to afford everybody tonight, man. That's the other challenge you're going to have, trying to cram everyone into the lineup. And that's going to force you to take some real low-name guys. And I guess if I'm going to give our listeners a low-name pick tonight for Thursday night, it'd be Will Dissly at 1,800. Greg Olsen a little bit banged up. Dissly came through a little bit. And again, that's a real dart throw, man. I'm not like claiming stake in that pick by any means. I'm just trying to find some sleeper. Some weeks it's Hollister, some weeks it's Olsen, some weeks it's Dissly. But again, I have one lineup here where I'm trying to just find some value somewhere. Otherwise you're going over to that Arizona side and looking at a dart throw wide receiver and Isabella or somebody cheap.
It's not a bad dart throw because all he needs is one catch, and that's all you need in DK is that one catch for 80 yards and a touchdown. For example, you see all these these kind of guys do it. Like last week, Marvin Hall had 2 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. But hey, at that cheap of a price, that's all you're looking for in a guy like that to help you really put you over the top.
And in a high-scoring game, fast-paced game like this, some of those guys are going to get some targets. And if Isabella takes one, he can get some good yards to go along with that. I'm starting to get some actives and inactives for that game right now, Justin, which I was kind of waiting for. And we talk about those dart throw plays. I think Dan Arnold is a dart throw play to take a shot tonight because their backup tight end, Darrell Daniels, who's been getting some volume, is injured. They are really thin at tight end. So he could probably get most of the volume there, and he's a good receiving tight end, Dan Arnold. He doesn't get a lot of reps because he's not as good as a blocker the other guys. But when they look to pass with the tight end, they look for him, and he might be forced to block some too and be on the field a little bit more. So you got a couple lower state guys I think you're going to have to mix in your lineup. I'm going to ride the Tyler Lockett train tonight because I know Metcalf's like almost matchup proof, and Patrick Peterson's not as locked down as he used to be. But for some reason, man, he's locked down the last year and this year versus DK Metcalf. So either Metcalf's going in with something to prove tonight, or Peterson continues his ways and Lockett goes ham again.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I don't know if they're gonna let Lockett do that to him again. I mean, you got to cover DK though, so it's tough. But this just reminds me to how good of a game that was the last time we saw it a couple of weeks ago, and it was definitely game of the year candidate as well as this past week with Arizona and Buffalo. Both those are the game of the year candidates, with the common factor of the Arizona Cardinals. And I think that DK Metcalf chasing down Budda Baker play was the best play in football I think I've seen in a long, long time, because this dude was just coming after him, man. I mean, you don't get points for that in DK, unfortunately, but you're playing on DraftKings. You're playing on DK. You got to play DK, Dan. I don't care if Patrick Peterson's on. He's going to bounce back tonight. It's going to happen. I like DK Metcalf. I like Andy Isabella as a long shot. If you really want a real money saver, DJ Dallas is super, super cheap. I think he's like 300, and he gets 30% of the snaps ever since Alex Collins came into play. $600. So it's really, really cheap. And I think that he's worth a shot if you're really trying to pay up for both Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and all those guys. You might as well throw him in their last spot. 'Cause I think you can do worse for $600 if you want to stack your lineup like that. And all he needs is a touchdown for you to really make money with that. I'm just
I like it.
spitballing
I
here.
like it. Yeah, key is
But
trying to figure out how to fit it all into your lineup, man. It is hard tonight. I mean, even
it
kickers
is.
are in play tonight. They're going to score a
Yeah.
lot of points both sides of the ball. You're looking at those low play picks, so it's just a matter of figuring out how to jam it all in here. Not easy tonight by any means.
Definitely not. I like Zane Gonzalez at 4,200. I mean, he's a good kicker, and I think he's going to have at least 2 field goals of 40-plus yards today and some extra points. That's my.
I have him in a
that's
I have him in a redraft league, so thank you.
You're welcome. I'm always here to help you out with your redraft leagues, Dan.
Appreciate that.
But that's going to do it
So
for
we
the
get-
single game slate. I mean, I think we got to go much more into because we got that exciting Week 11 slate, and you gotta get the popcorn ready for tonight's game, Dan. I mean, you got to go make the popcorn
agree.
for tonight. It's crazy. But
Hey,
reeling
last
back in-
thing last
go
thing
ahead.
on tonight's game, and then reel us all the way in. We just didn't talk running backs. I think Carlos Hyde maybe get the start tonight. I believe Chris Carson, he's officially ruled out, and Homer's ruled out. So Carlos Hyde's got some good value at 5,200 tonight. And Kenyon Drake looked good last week. I know he's still splitting with Chase Edmonds, but don't be afraid of him. He did look good. Last thoughts. So let's reel us back in, buddy.
Yeah, he looked good. I'm okay with those plays as well. I like Chase Edmonds for more of a pass catching back because he still gets more targets than Kenyon Drake. But Kenyon Drake definitely did some work last week on the ground. He looked pretty good. But Chase Edmonds, I'm hopeful for him. Chase Edmonds truther at this point, so I'm kind of biased, but I do like Chase Edmonds tonight. Now, reeling it back in for the podcast listeners, we got to go over our Week 10, what we did right, what we did wrong. We told you don't fade the games that are going to score a lot of points. You don't fade the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs stack, which I think has been my stack of the week at least 6 of these 10 weeks. I love Stephon Diggs, Dan. You know this. But Kyler Murray looked great. The Hopkins Hail Mary touchdown saved the day for people who played Hopkins in DraftKings. So we don't care how we get the points. It's just the points count it. But what a play by DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray all around. That game was just insane. But what else did you get right? What did we get wrong last weekend?
Yeah, you said it best there, man. That game was just incredibly awesome. It was the game we liked the most last week. We had one or two others we liked, but looking at this year, Justin, I just wish I would just take multiple combinations of those high-scoring games and lay off the different variations because that game was gold. But it was a nail-biter, man. If it wasn't for the last 30-some seconds, I was kind of in trouble. And then all of a sudden, in 32 seconds, it was just like fireworks. Your boy Diggs hits the end zone on this great play. Looks like the game's over. Bills are too happy on the sidelines, and then Murray marches them down, hits that one to nuke. And in my one contest, that put me from $0 to $200 in the money there. And, Murray Hopkins was gold. Jakeem Grant, man, last week we called it $3,000, GPP gold as he found the end zone, 14 points for Mr. Grant. Diggs was awesome, as we said. Saints defense was good to me there with 14 points. So there were a lot of good picks within that game. I'm just still a little fired up over what didn't go right because the day could have really been special if your boy Miles Sanders found the end zone, but he was allergic to it.
He looked good.
He was allergic to the He was allergic to the end zone, so the coaches just said, "Hey, we're going to give it to Boston Scott and Corey Clement."
Scott made that play. The Corey Clement one's one I'm upset about because that's some bull crap. Oh, damn, that made me mad. As you can imagine, that made me mad, man. I wasn't happy with it. But the good thing is that you take the signals from the game, and Miles Sanders looked good.
He did. The process was good. The volume was there. He looked the best he's looked all year. The Eagles just continue to frustrate me. I mean, although I'm happy, I'm a Dallas fan. I want them to do terrible. But, if I'm going to take them, it just didn't quite materialize all the way there. And the Rams were kind of funny a little bit too there with Jared Goff. So a lot of good takes, but some things didn't materialize all the way.
Yeah, I agree. But we're ready for Week 11. Quarterback position. Justin Herbert, man, he kind of cut his hair, so now I'm kind of fading away from him. I'm not the biggest fan of him, so I'm gonna probably shy away from that because I don't know what's good with the whole hair thing. But Jameis Winston, 5,900 against Atlanta, man. It's just weird to have Jameis back in fantasy. You can say whatever you want to say, but hey, Jameis Winston's gonna throw the ball a lot and get some fantasy. He sucks in real life, but my oh my, is he gonna throw the ball? And I think that it's not hard to give the ball to your best players in Kamara and Michael Thomas to make a good fantasy day, especially at 5,900.
I find it hard to just get excited about him. Now he's getting all the reps at practice. Question is how much does
he had eye
Taysom
surgery.
Hill? Oh, you're really pulling out the. Did he have that last year?
That was his
Isn't that old
offseason.
news? Was it this? Are you sure it was this offseason? No, it was last year, wasn't it?
No, it was this offseason.
I don't know.
We haven't seen him with his new eyes.
I think everybody's gonna be kind of hopping on that low price of 5,900. It could be even lower, but
cash play.
Yeah.
I should stress it. I'll give you a GPP play before you start listing every quarterback in the book. What's his name? The guy who's a great quarterback in the NFL, left-handed. The one who's currently undefeated. Oh yeah, Tua Tagovailoa. Dan, he's up there, 5,800. Hasn't really been great for fantasy, but that's why it's a GPP play, man. The GPP play, because I'll tell you who to stack him with later. You may already have an idea who to stack him with, but they haven't really asked him to do a lot.
Why don't I see that name on my list? It's kind of odd. It's missing. It's just I don't know. Yeah, against Denver on the road. Denver's
I don't
defense
care if it's on the road.
okay.
Tua lives for the road.
From Miami to cold Denver, Colorado. There's too many better picks there. Like if you want to go low in that range,
I hope Tua's in the million maker winning lineup. I really do. I can see it now.
I'm not letting you get in my head. I'm not letting you get in my head with that. All right, and I did take the all Justin lineup last week. It didn't quite win the big bucks, but
no.
You're looking at two at 5,800. You go 300 lower for Joe Burrow, who's Mr. pass happy there in Cincinnati. Mixon's out again. He's scoring points every week. I know the offensive line has some struggles, but I mean, there's some 300 and 400 yard passing games there. The volume's definitely there. He's thrown pretty much 40 times per game. Unlike, Miami's a little bit more balanced, playing tough defense. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game over there. So I like Burrow if you're going that price range, Justin.
I don't like that price range, honestly. I like going up a little bit. I like Ben Roethlisberger a lot this week at his price point of 6,700, and he's the fourth highest priced quarterback on the slate. But they don't care if they're up by a lot. They're just going to keep throwing the ball. They had a 40-20 pass to rush ratio last week, and I like Ben Roethlisberger this week against Jacksonville. I don't care if it's on the road. And you got those weapons and Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, and Chase Claypool. I think it's hard for you to fail, especially if they're going to funnel targets through those three.
Ben's definitely interesting. And this is the first you look at this week. I mean, this year, those high passing, explosive offenses have been gold. And hey, Dak's injured, not to bring back old wounds. Kyler's tonight. Russ is tonight. Mahomes is Sunday night. Those big time quarterbacks that could run are off the slate, with the exception of Deshaun Watson and Cam Newton. And I'm trying to figure it out. And Lamar. And Lamar's not getting talked about. So it even took me a little while to come to Lamar, which makes me think people are going to be off him. His complimentary guys that you want in a stack are very cheap. So which way do you go? And I need to pick one this week, Justin. I need to really zero in on one. I want, again, I don't have that bankroll either to go 150 lineups in a million maker. That's $500 a pop, but I am entering it once, and I need to know where to go here. So I'm a little bit torn, man. That I want to be liking Cam as New England's been playing a little bit better, and what he does on the ground at his price is 6,200. He's had a lot of top 10 weeks this year. Despite it, occasional New England struggles, he's very intriguing to me. I think Ben fits in that class of like Matty Ryan. They could. Pittsburgh's more interesting though because they're not running the ball like at all. They play Dallas, who hasn't been able to stop the run, and they get away from it. Last week, they're throwing all over the field. All three wide receivers had huge games. So Ben definitely is intriguing based on the way that passing offense has been going, and they're just not running the ball.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I think he's a solid play this week. It's tough for me to get on board with I just had his name picked out. Kirk Cousins. But at the same time, he's going against Dallas. I think you got to play Kirk Cousins this week. I think you can triple stack.
This is where I'm struggling because there's part of me that
you're
says
a Cowboys fan.
Well, that's part of it. So I need
That's the only part of it.
you need to be able to tell me that, hey, Dan, it does not matter that they had 2 weeks to prepare and they kind of played competitive versus Pittsburgh. They could potentially be sneaky, Dallas, but I think that could be a good thing because that could rise that score up and make it a two-sided game. Dallas will find a way to lose it at the end. But I'm torn whether to go find a stack and have Dalvin Cook as an isolation play because the 2 weeks prior that I did not take Dalvin Cook, I got burnt. And I know he didn't do great versus the Bears, but the Bears' run defense is tough, man. I mean, that defense is, say we want about how horrible the Bears' offense is, which it is. If the Bears had any offense at all, they would be a contending football team, but they don't. That their defense is legit. And Dalvin still had a ton of touches in that game. Now he goes to Dallas on the turf. I like it, but I also like the Vikings passing game. Do you go contrarian, go down from Dalvin to a Derrick Henry or whoever, and then go with a Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, who could burn those Cowboys corners potentially? So I'm torn which way to go, Justin.
Are you playing the red rifle?
No.
Why?
No.
That's your
maybe
boy.
in Dynasty, not in DFS.
Okay, that's fair.
Because they're still going to be bounced.
To the wide receiver position. You mentioned you like playing this passing game for the Vikings if you're paying down from Dalvin Cook because Dalvin Cook's going to eat. Justin Jefferson, 6,000 seems way too cheap for a guy who's being one of the best wide receivers in the league this year. Not just rookie wide receivers in the league this year. People can get that straight. I think Justin Jefferson's a baller. I think he's here to stay, and he's looking really, really good. And 6,000, I think it's just way too cheap. And I'm okay with doing that with Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook. I understand, but I mean, Justin Jefferson is my play of the week at 6,000. I think it's just way too cheap. I think a lot of people are going to be on him, obviously, because they saw him in prime time against the Bears. What a game that was! I don't even want to talk about that, but he's there. I like the pricing. I think a lot of people are going to like the pricing as well. Another guy I want to talk about is Jacoby Myers. 4,900 in cash. This dude's just dominating all the air yard share targets in this offense, even throwing the ball. He's just getting used a lot, and Cam Newton has heart eyes for him. And not N'Keal Harry, who was, I think, retired. That's what I think it looks like. He definitely retired right there. And before Dan goes and lists his guys, my last guy I really want to talk about who I like this week is Jalen Reagor at 4,300 against Cleveland. He was the alpha on the team last week. It looked like Carson Wentz was mainly going to him. He was the target leader last weekend at 4,300. When you have Zach Pascal at 4,400, that's the kind of range we're in right now, so people can understand. Jalen Reagor seems like a smash at 4,300 for cash lineups and even some GPP lineups.
I like those picks. I like your conviction. Although I ask, how do you just gloss over Adam Thielen in that Viking game? Like you didn't even sniff him there. He looked just as good. I mean, he looks good. Him and Jefferson are getting peppered with targets.
Justin Jefferson has a great first name.
I mean, I see how it is. So if guys cut your hair short, you're out. Your name's Justin, you're in. I see some strict criteria that we have tonight.
It's not a hard criteria to be good at football, but that's what it takes.
So I like those picks, like I said. I guess there's some comparable guys that I'm looking at. You know, and I hope you're right on with Jacoby Myers because that's part of my thing with Cam there, man. If he just keeps getting all that volume, Myers is only 4,900. You get all that running volume of Cam in a high-scoring game versus a weak Texans defense. You can build some good plays around it. I also traded tonight in a Dynasty League a third-round pick for Jacoby Myers, which I have mixed emotions about, but it's a team where I could win now, and I needed help at receiver, and the guy I'm playing this week, the gentleman I'm playing, has Myers, so I took it from him. So I'm increasing my odds to win this week as well. So hopefully you're right there as well. But Brashard Perryman, man, I'm going back to that Thursday night game, and you probably forgot about it because you hate Thursday night games that don't include great teams, and the Jets are far from that. But at 4,300, him and Flacco have some great chemistry. They played together before in Baltimore. I know you like Mims a little bit on some weeks. You got that rookie fever there, but Perryman is his guy. He is going deep to him. The air yards are there. He runs a variety of routes. I know there was a questionable tag this week, but I think Coach Gay says he's completely healthy. Not that I take much of Coach Gay says with any credence because I think he's the downfall of the team there. But I like Perriman. If I want to go up, Mike Thomas, 7,300. I mean, you liked Winston. I know something hasn't been clicking this year, but does Winston make
30% target share last week for Michael Thomas? Yeah, 30% target share last week for Michael Thomas. And when Winston entered the game, Thomas was a target leader out of all the options by a pretty healthy amount. So Michael Thomas is a guy I'm stacking Winston with when I'm playing Winston. However, Michael Thomas sucks. I'm only saying this because apparently when I say players are going to do good and I like them, they just don't do well, i.e. DJ Moore last week. And, it's how I mentioned his name at all. And, of course, he has a good game, and he should have had 40 more yards if the Panthers ran a play so they couldn't challenge it. I don't know. It's just a complete disaster, Dan. So Michael Thomas sucks.
So for our listeners tonight, don't listen to anything I say. Put all Justin's hidden, encrypted clues that are in the show. You cut your hair, you're done. He says he sucks. He's great. You got to read all these clues tonight. I'm catching on, man. If the first name or is anything in Justin's banner there, Tua Justin, all kinds of subliminal messages you're sending tonight. I'm really catching that. He's got Christmas lights in the back. If their birthday's in December, go with
That's
them.
for my dad. I will say, if I was on the Fantasy podcast, Paul loves his Christmas lights year round because he has something wrong up in there, I think. I don't know. Dan, it's not my decision. I can't take him down. He gets mad when I take him down. It's not my doing, Dan.
Christmas spirit, man. So speaking of Christmas spirit, hey, maybe Dallas does get a gift this week in that terrible NFC East. Amari Cooper, as we talked about early, 5,400, man, on brand for me. He is the number one receiver, number one target of Andy Dalton, who is healthy. The O-line's been playing a little bit better. That game could be a bit of a sneaky shootout out there coming back versus Minnesota, who we love. We love Minnesota. So I like that. Keenan Allen, 7,400. If I'm not going Michael Thomas, I like Keenan Allen. Again, just crushing the Jets. Everybody crushes against the Jets. So I think he's a very enticing play as well. We mentioned Lamar. If you're going that direction, Hollywood at 5,800, even though I'm really just sinking down on Hollywood. If there was a week, Justin, this is the week. Stop giving me that look like I'm crazy. It could happen.
I'm waiting for you to mention a player, Dan. And I don't think you're going to do it because you don't.
One more. Jakeem Grant, 3,500. Do you go back to the well for 3,500 with your boy Tua?
That wasn't the guy I was looking at, but I do like Jakeem Grant this year, yes. And that's my stack with Tua. But there's a really, really good wide receiver, top 10 wide receiver in the league, talent-wise, top 10 wide receiver in fantasy easily at 6,900. You want to mention his name? I'm getting kind of scared over here.
6,900. I got to go to the receiver list on DraftKings. I don't think I have him in my notes yet.
Dan. Gosh, why not? You're not a fan of the guy who's a really, really good wide receiver, target, magnet, alpha, beast.
So here's my take. He makes sense for you. He is cash play win tonight because anyone overcomes the Bengals, he's going to get his targets and volume. But he's not a GPP play, Justin. That's my problem.
Why?
The Bengals have one good corner, William Jackson, the only good corner.
Why is he not a good DPP play, though? You don't think Terry McLaurin has big play potential?
He does, but Jackson's going to I think Jackson shadows him.
Listen, I'm not. People. Where's the challenge flag, Dan? You don't have a challenge flag.
He's not. Here's a challenge. So here's a challenge flag. He is not going to stop McLaurin. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying McLaurin is going to be stopped. I think McLaurin is going to have one of his typical. Let me go to the stat line here. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen.
7 catches, 100 yards. Yeah, you're right.
No. He's going to get 90, 95 yards. He's going to come just short of 100, so you're not going to get the bonus. He might find the end zone once, but he won't find it twice. I think he's a good, very good cash play. Love him in cash. I just don't love him in GPP at 6,900. I'd rather pay up and get a Michael Thomas or Keenan Allen or pay down and get Jefferson.
All right, whoa. All right, ready? Let's put a little – we don't have anything to wager, but Terry McLaurin versus Michael Thomas. I think Terry McLaurin has more points this week.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
The winner – the loser pays for a contest next week in DraftKings.
All right, that's a deal.
Something fair.
Yeah, that's a deal. That's a deal. Write that down. You got that down?
You got it. You let me know what contest you want to play next week, okay? And then whoever loses covers that contest. Yeah. We got a deal.
There we go. All right, Terry McLaurin's not going to let me down. He doesn't let me down because he's the only player that I can like, and he'll still perform. It's a weird caveat. I mean, there's some exceptions to this rule. Did you mention Deontay Johnson at 5,900? I forget.
I wanted to.
Didn't.
I didn't yet, but he is on the radar big time. I have all three Steelers receivers on the radar big time. I like Johnson the most at the lowest price, the most consistent. Big Ben loves him, 5,900. Not ignoring Claypool at 6,100 or even Juju at 6,400. Again, depends how you want to play that. If you like a Big Ben stack, you take at least 2 of those guys, and I think you play it back with DJ Shark at 5,700. Shark's been looking very good.
GPP play of the week time, Dan. Jalen Guyton, 3,500 against the Jets. 6 targets last. Jalen Guyton, deep play potential. You've seen what this guy can do. He's always beaten 2 people deep. Jalen Guyton is the guy you want, especially against the Jets, because everyone smashes against the Jets. Heard Dan Lamagna 5 minutes ago. He said everyone was smashed against the Jets, and Jalen Guyton, he's gonna do some work at 3,500. GPP play of the week. Love me some Jalen Guyton. He's a GPP lock button. If there ever was one, that's the lock play of the week.
You know what the challenge is the lock league. You have Guyton at 3,500. You got Jakeem Grant at 3,500.
You're playing both and pay up at running back. There you go. Win.
He's got your boy Tua throwing to him. And then KJ Hamler's another one in that price range who's just been getting a ton of targets in Denver and getting better every week. So there are some nice little pump plays there.
That's true.
They could build around.
But running backs, we got to go through this quick. Then we are behind because we're talking about you not mentioning Terry McLaurin and all this other crap. But Miles Sanders, 6,900. Let's go. Philly versus Cleveland. I mean, hey, you pair him with McLaurin, and they're both 6,900. That's a win right there. You can't tell me it's not. It's Miles Sanders, Cleveland. Yes, they have a good defense, but I don't care. It's Miles Sanders. He's going to get usage. Usage is there. Love me some Miles Sanders. Also, news in today, DeAndre Swift is concussed, unfortunately. So I did like him a lot, obviously 6,400, but so did everyone else in America. So are you pivoting off DeAndre Swift and going with Peterson or Kerryon Johnson?
Nope, nothing to do with that game with PJ Walker in it, and I think Stafford's going to be okay. I'm not positive though. That's a little bit of a sketchier game for me. I'm avoiding it. There's too many other plays I like more. Same thing with that Cleveland Philadelphia game you're talking about. I don't like that game at all. I'm just going to ignore that as well for GPP. Too many other plays I like, pal. Dalvin Cook at 9,000, I'm loving, absolutely loving. I don't want to make the same mistake I've made before, especially against the Dallas D. I think he could eat. If I go the Vikings passing route, then maybe I go down to Derrick Henry at 8,000, who's also enticing. You know, you could run on Baltimore. That game could be a little bit of a sneaky one. And then there's some nice value plays.
Duke Johnson at 5,400, 95% of the running back touches last week. That's my beautiful song of the week. And Duke Johnson, windy game, awful atmosphere. Guess what? People are going to be off him because they thought he was a lock button last week. Well, guess what? He's still going to get all the touches this week against New England, who has a good defense. However, good pass defense. Really isn't that great of a rush defense. And you're going to see Mr. Duke Johnson put up over 15 fantasy points, which that's a foreplay. But he could also break one long. So he's a very talented running back in the NFL who just gets underutilized. But he's finally getting utilized, Dan. I think he's a bounce back player this week.
So here's my thought. I have 3 guys in that price range that I like. And I'm really narrow on running back this week. I don't have a long list at all. Yeah. But I do like Duke. I agree with you. It could be a little mad from last week. I know I'm mad from last week, Justin. He's one of the guys that didn't quite plan out. Process-wise, he panned out because the volume was completely there. He ran the ball well. He just didn't get enough touches. Wind was crazy in that game. He just wasn't involved in the pass game like he's capable of because he's a very good pass catching back. I like Damian Harris at 5,700. Every week I'm watching just to make sure Sony doesn't get into that mix. The only thing about Harris is he doesn't get the pass work. So that shies me away a little bit, and it leads me to the guy we're not talking about in Kalen Ballage. I can't believe I'm saying that, Kalen Ballage, but
I'm not going to even say anything. It's all you.
5,600. He got the stamp of approval from coach today that he's most likely their primary back the rest of the way. I think at least until Eckler comes back. He had 18 carries for 68 yards versus your tough Dolphin defense last week and had 6 targets, racking up 5 catches for 34 yards. So if he's going to get all that volume there in Los Angeles, he gets more pass catching work than Harris, is less owned than Duke. I think he's a nice sneaky play.
I'm not gonna be playing him, but yeah, he's fine. Alvin Kamara 9,200 lock button. I mean, this dude's just a beast and wasn't even really efficient on the ground last week, but had some touchdown luck. So expect that to go back up, even with Winston and Mike Davis. It could be a bounce back week as well, with him being the main guy with Christian McCaffrey out. Bounce back week for James Conner as well. I'm probably staying away from James Robinson unless it's the GPP just because it's Pittsburgh's defense. You're going to have a lot of people pivoting off him, but he's still going to get a lot of touches, so the volume will be there. I'm just not sure the efficiency will be there. I expect like a 24 carry for 85 yards with 3 catches for 20 yards kind of game from Mr. James Robinson himself. Moving on to the tight ends, though, Dan. Who do you like this week? And usually it's Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews looked good last week, so 4,900. Are you playing Mark Andrews?
Yes, and I'm done. I mean, you cannot beat Mark Andrews at his price there. The volume's there. I watched the game last week. He looked great. 4,900 is the price there. That's he's a number one tight end by far on the slate. He's one of the best tight ends in the league. I know it hasn't all come together this year, but this is an ideal matchup versus that Tennessee secondary this week. So I think I'm going to be loading up on Andrews at 4,900. If there is a lineup or two, I can't afford them. Dallas Goedert, your boy at 3,800 could be intriguing. Logan Thomas with Alex Smith is looking more intriguing. He's getting even a couple more targets at 3,300. And I guess the only two other guys I'll mention, just because I have a lot of shares in Dynasty, and I never want to give up on him, is Jonnu Smith, about, I think, 4,700, right under Andrews, and Eric Ebron at 4,000. That Pittsburgh game, they're going to be throwing. Maybe he takes some volume away from one of those receivers. That is my tight end list for the week.
Austin Poopy Pants, 3,900. I like Austin Poopy Pants. I mean, last week was a windy game. People were going to be off him, but Austin Poopy Pants is at 3,900. You got to play him. I like Dallas Goedert as well at 3,800. But other than that, I agree with your 2 picks that you said that are the main 2 picks at least.
Yeah, I'll make a little note of the Hooper Scooper there, man, as JB calls him, and I'll add him to my tight end list. Just so
that's JB's guy who John Bauer took in the 3rd round in a lot of tight end premium drafts. I mean, we got to have some kind of therapy consultation with John Bauer. But stack of the week time. Let's get it. We need to tell the viewers what the stack of the week is.
What about defense? Defense.
I don't care about defense because the answer is Miami. All right, next.
Your answer is Miami. You started the quarterbacks with Winston, so I'm going to end the defenses with Atlanta 2,300 when Winston throws a couple interceptions for pick sixes. All right, now go to the stack of the weeks, man.
Also Pittsburgh, but I'm not paying up that. But stack of the week time part 2. We got Ben Roethlisberger, Chase Claypool, DJ Chark. I'm going with the game that's going to be scoring a lot of points. I think Pittsburgh's going to be up a lot. They're 10-point favorites, so expecting to be up a lot. It's not a high over under, but these games are always based off of Pittsburgh having a super high total. And this Jacksonville has to beat their implied total of 16. So Jacksonville can beat their implied total of 16 points. Then you're basically in the money because this game's going to go over 50 points. That's my number 1 stack of the week. I don't want to steal Dan's stack. Dan, what's your stack of the week?
All right. Hey, you covered a good stack there without a doubt. I have 3 stacks I'm looking at, Justin. So I got to just build up a little bit. I don't want to say one's my stack of the week.
I have 2 more as well. So that was like my bottom tier one. That was like my mid tier one, actually. So give the other people your worst, quote unquote worst, not really the worst, your 3rd favorite stack of the week.
Because I'm not sure where I'm putting my primary money this week. That's why I'm a little bit torn on this. I need a little bit more time to break down these 3 stacks. The least stack would just be based on they haven't put it together this year, and that's Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, and Hollywood Brown. And then I would stack that back with Derrick Henry to go off of Dalvin Cook. All right, so let all those ownership go to Cook. Hopefully Henry has a beast mode game, and then I have that Ravens stack. That would probably be my least one. Then if I'm building up, I don't know the exact combination yet, but that New England-Houston game is very intriguing to me with Cam or Watson. I think you could play it either way. And, I'm thinking Cam might be a little bit sneakier. But the stack of the week for me is Kirk Cousins playing it back with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and then with those 2 combos, and then playing it back with Amari Cooper. So, but again, I might have to mix that up. There might be a Cousins, Dalvin, JJ, like you said, play it back with Cooper. I just think the Vikings are going to go ham. You could play it back with Zeke, and maybe he does eat it a little bit at 6,500, but it just hasn't been there this year. I think Dallas is definitely going to be passing.
Dallas sucks, son of a. All right, well, it's okay, Dan, because they're going to have a good draft pick, and it's going to be all right next year. And Dak comes back, and hopefully Jerry pays with Dak. So things are looking up next year. This year is definitely tough for you, but I feel bad. Dan, no, I don't. Because it's the Cowboys, but I feel a little bad because the injury was very unfortunate.
I'll take it.
I will say that. Oh, Dan's probably the only Cowboys fan I'll feel bad for. Everyone else, my friends are Cowboys fans. I don't really feel bad for him. Dan, I feel bad. But 2 more stacks for me. Jameis Winston. Just kidding. It's not James. It's Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara. That's a game stack and a half, but 50.5 point over under. So I'm stacking the crap out of that game. That's a 5-player stack. And it's not a bad idea because there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. And Ridley's back, I believe, this week. Keeping a monitor on that. I'm playing if he is because people may be off him. If you don't want to play Ridley because you want to go a little more risk adverse, then just do Julio, Michael Thomas, Kamara with one of the quarterbacks. You can mix and match. If you want to do Jameis Winston triple stack with Kamara and Michael Thomas, not necessarily a bad idea. I'm not going to fault you for that. But my favorite stack of the week, Dan, just cover your ears because this is not pretty. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams if he plays, watch that toe injury or foot injury, whatever happened today in practice. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, running it back with breakout game himself, Jonathan Taylor.
You couldn't go one show without saying Jonathan Taylor. I thought we almost made it, and you snuck him in there. That was slick. I don't see it.
You don't have to see it because I can see it. Just kidding. I mean, hey, Miles Sanders last year was doing the same thing to owners, making them all mad. Like, oh, this guy's a rookie. He sucks. He's not really getting used properly. But he had flashes. Right now, we're not seeing any really.
You said that last week. Challenge flag to end the show.
Yeah,
here,
well, I must keep saying it until it happens, Dan. Because I got to be right eventually. I'm not going to be wrong on Jonathan Taylor. It's just not happening. Look at it. I mean, dude.
Come on, you can't have the listeners lose all their money and then the week.
Well, I'm not saying put this in every line. This is just the most contrarian stack I got for people.
Didn't you learn from Mitch and I last week when we were chatting separately there? We says,
I never learned from Mitch.
Jordan Wilkins is better than Jonathan Taylor. Naheem Hines is better than who else?
Jonathan Taylor has had 10 days to watch film and realize what is wrong with what he's doing, and hopefully get some vision because that's the big thing he's lacking right now. But that was a big fall with Miles Sanders last year until he picked it up a little bit. Just hold the faith with Jonathan Taylor is all I'm telling people to do. Any last words from you, Dan?
Man, a lot of great plays this week. So very good games to watch. Follow us both on Twitter, man, and hopefully we'll get a little more insight to narrow this down a little bit further. And hope everybody wins some cash and is in the money this week.
Yes, I hope so too. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Twitters are in the description below, and we'll see you guys next time.